My name is Mike McIver. I've lived in Banff for 40 years. The second summer I was here, 1962, is the year that the Trans-Canada Highway in its present form was completed. We sometimes forget this is a relatively new piece of infrastructure. And in forgetting that, we sometimes forget a really crucial part of this, which is how quickly things are changing. I knew Banff when there was a two-lane highway from the East Gate all the way through. Public Works Canada was the proponent at that time. They proposed twinning the highway, but no fencing, no crossing structures for wildlife, and it took a concerted effort on the part of researchers, conservationists, and even Parks Canada to push to see that those kinds of mitigations were part of the project.
I'm Bruce Leeson, Senior Environmental Assessment Scientist for Parks Canada's Western Region. Our preparations for the beginning of the Trans-Canada Highway occurred in the mid-1970s, and that brought forward a lot of concern about the possible adverse effect on Banff National Park as a result of twinning the roadway, and that precipitated one of the most intense environmental assessments we've ever done, and led to a decision to construct the highway, but using exceptional measures to protect the environment.
I'm Terry McGuire. I'm the Director of Highway Operations here in the Mountain Parks. In the early 80s, the major problem was elk on the highway between the Banff Gate and the town site. Recognizing that wildlife needed to cross the highway was to provide a number of crossing opportunities, which included 14-meter wide underpass structures that the elk could travel underneath the highway.
The case that's been made for the highway has been because of the congestion on the untwinned section. The flow of traffic is impeded, and that has obviously economic costs. It's a major trucking route, obviously, to the west coast. The other part of the case that was made is in terms of safety. And there's been a great many accidents and a number of fatalities on that section of untwinned highway.
My name is Corporal Mark Kay. I'm Detachment Commander of Lake Louise Detachment. I think the main problem on the highway is a combination of people that aren't used to the weather and the climatic conditions, driving on roads that are smaller than they're used to in their own countries. I think more policing may contribute to reducing the number of accidents. Financially, I'm not sure if it's feasible. For example, for an area as large as Lake Louise is, we only have 4 members assigned to us to police the area. I think a long-term answer, bring Highway number 1 between Castle Junction and the BC border up to an international standard of a divided highway.
In October 2003, the Government of Canada announced that they had $50 million to further advance the twinning, that the accident rates and the volumes of traffic were now at a point where that section of highway necessitated some increase. When the $50 million was announced, there was 3 goals. There was the improvement to overall safety of the motoring public, looking at wanting to improve the overall efficiency and effectiveness of the highway, and of course to look at the wildlife impacts from both a safety perspective as well as potential habitat fragmentation.
My name is Dave Poulton. I'm the Executive Director of the Calgary-Banff chapter of the Canadian Parks and Wilderness Society. Well, part of my job is monitoring the developments within the national parks and making sure that they don't unduly impact on the ecological integrity of the parks. We in CPAWS have been very concerned about the highway for decades. It's the major disturbance interfering with wildlife. After the announcement from Ottawa, we met with Parks Canada officials, and we were very concerned in the first few months. We thought we were dealing with essentially a highway engineering project with wildlife being shunted to the side. That required some extra energy on our part. We tried to educate the public and encourage people to speak out about their concerns. Well, after going through the advisory process and the environmental assessment process, the project has progressed to a point where we feel that we can give it our conditional approval.
The current phase, referred to as Phase 3B, is an environmental assessment called an environmental screening, conducted under the expectations of the Canadian Environmental Assessment Act. And it addresses all the issues of possible environmental impact arising from continuing the twinning project and identifies measures to avoid or to reduce the adverse effect of the construction and operation.